Hi, this is Richard Vague. Today we want to talk a little British and U.S. history. The 1980s are remembered as a boom time, the era of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. In Britain, Thatcher was the Iron Lady who stood up to Argentina in the Falklands War. In the U.S., it was morning again in America, Reagan's famous re-election campaign slogan. But what it really was the beginning of a prolonged private sector lending boom that, as all private debt booms do, brought euphoria in its initial years. In Britain, private debt to GDP, the combination of business and household debt, was an ultra-low 58% in 1980, shortly after Thatcher's ascension to prime minister, and exploded, more than doubling to 115% by 1990. It was one of the most rapid escalations of private sector debt in Western economic history. There was almost as big of a lending boom in the U.S. As Reagan took office in 1981, private debt to GDP was 99% and exploded to 125% by 1989, also one of the sharpest upticks, certainly in U.S. economic history. In both cases, a disproportionate amount of this was real estate-related debt, bringing a spree of construction that, as is typical, reduced unemployment and flooded the economy with money. So the Reagan boom and the Thatcher boom were more lending booms than anything else. But overlending usually brings an economic hangover, and these certainly did. Thatcher stepped down as prime minister in 1990 just as the troubles began. Too many buildings had been built, businesses had overexpanded beyond the level justified by demand, and those real estate loans and other loans started going bad. Construction companies announced layoffs, and banks and other lenders started to fail. In the UK, Thatcher's successor, John Major, inherited the brunt of this, with a recession in 1990 and 91, and unemployment rising from 6.8% in 1990 to 10.4% in 1993. In the U.S., Reagan bid the Oval Office adieu in January of 1989, handing his successor George Bush a savings and loan and commercial real estate crisis, along with a recession that doomed his re-election campaign against the young upstart Bill Clinton. Famously, Clinton's campaign battle cry was, quote, "It's the economy, stupid," end quote. Of course, it was all just a dress rehearsal for the private sector real estate lending explosion just a little over a decade later, which led to the 2008 global financial crisis. So, I guess the lesson is beware of real estate-led economic booms. That's it for this week. Thanks.